Hey folks, Sam Luce here with iZotope. I want to dive into a subject that strays away from the usual mixing and mastering content today and take a look at sound design, specifically using reverb as an instrument. I'm going to be using Equinox for this, the brand new premium reverb plugin from iZotope, to really demonstrate the depth of sounds you can get from it. I find that reverb as a creative tool can often be overlooked in terms of using it as an instrument, not just using it to accompany an instrument. I want to show you how you can use Equinox as your sound in place of typical instruments or oscillators and create some really interesting textures for TV, film, games, anything that needs a haunting sound bed. First off, Equinox has a massive collection of presets, over 1,200 in there for you to choose from. So to completely juxtapose the range of choice you have there, I've limited myself to just using one sample and Equinox for the entire thing. Here's the sample. It's pretty uninspiring. It's me standing in front of a microphone, tapping an empty tin can with a pen. But by processing this in the right way, and importantly using Equinox as the reverb, we open up a whole world of sounds and textures. So we can make something that sounds like this, or like this. Here's a short snippet of what I've created from that initial sample by using Equinox. Then I'll go into a bit more detail about how I've actually created each sound. So to sample this, Contact is a great choice of sampler, and with the new Leap sampler you can spread this one sound across the keyboard at different pitches and play it just like an instrument. I've processed this sample before it goes into the sampler using Neutron 5 to bring up the resonance, then bounce the processed sound internally within my DAW. So the EQ and reverb that I've applied gets baked into the sample. A little tip if you didn't already know this is that you can go into the settings within Neutron, go to the equalizer and change the spectrum frequency scale to piano roll to show the notes of a keyboard at the bottom of the plugin window. Great for finding out the original pitch of samples. For these sounds, I've essentially taken the original sample out and just been left with the reverb. So I've set a decent pre-delay to separate the sample from where my reverb begins and recorded that internally in my DAW. Then in the sampler, I've got the sound with the reverb already committed to the sample. Because I've brought out the resonance in the original sample, the note is going to be much more pronounced. In Equinox, you can use the freeze function, which is a great way of making a sustained instrument out of the reverb, because it creates an infinite drone. So you hit the note, hit freeze, and that reverb sound will create that infinite drone. And you can take the sound from this to this. So for the short piece I've created as a sort of haunting underscore, here's what I've used. The lower octaves for this sample give it this really eerie texture that's going to work great for any sound bed and any kind of scene that needs tension, any scene that needs a breathy texture underneath to support what's happening on screen. This was done using the Chamber Go Boom preset in the experimental section. Remember, in all these samples I've processed the sample using Equinox to give the sound its initial texture and committed that to the sound. Then I'm processing it again using Equinox to add another layer of ambience. Then the higher melody line was created using the Triple Pop 2 preset, again in the experimental section, which gives it a great breathy tone, but also a kind of floating ambience. Because it's kind of discordant, this adds to the texture and creates something really haunting, along with a compressor and drive to make it a little richer. There's also a kind of low frequency kick sound in there, which is the original sound pitch shifted down a few octaves with the Boxster 808 Kick Dark preset. It's actually found in the presets for the keyboard submenu, but it works great here. Then I'm adding some extra texture on top with a slightly different sound, something higher and slightly less sustained. This is just doubling a few of the notes from the melody line a couple of octaves higher. It's using a smaller reverb this time, just to add a little space. The great thing about these presets is that they're giving me a starting point to adapt from. In all these different sounds, I've started with something that I knew was really close to what I wanted, then I've altered settings from there. With Equinox, you can get incredibly in-depth with the attack, tail, and filter of the reverb, and also add a compressor, chorus, and some drive to the sound, which is going to help you create a whole new sound palette of ideas. I hope that's given you an insight into how you can use Equinox for sound design, how you can use it essentially as an instrument in its own right, and get really creative with the massive range of presets that come loaded in for you. Let me know in the comments what interesting ways you're choosing to use Equinox in your sound design projects, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.